Hello and welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 821, being recorded on April 30, 2025. I'm Sebastian Peak.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
It's going to be May tomorrow, Josh Walrath.
Those kids are never going to get away with it. I'm Brett Van Sprumberg.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and podcast, and I'm all out of bubblegum. I'm Kent Burgess.
Do we have any Patreon updates, Brett, as we seamlessly transition into the begging for money part of the podcast that everybody loves so much?
I know that I enjoy it. So I would just want to thank, a special thanks go out to Jay Arnold. He's a very sporty fellow. So I really appreciate that. He, should he be watching, will know what I mean. Thank you.
Josh, are you prepared to talk about food for at least 1.5 to 2 minutes?
If even that. You know what? Sometimes you just got to have a Chicago dog. Why? Because Chicago dogs are good. They've got the peppers on them. They got the onions. You got the celery salt, the big quarter-pound wiener. Relish, tomatoes. Yeah, it's got everything on there. And it was surprisingly inexpensive. And it filled you up pretty nice and good, too. Fries were a little overdone, but not horribly so. Nothing, a little bit of ketchup can't fix. But no, it was a big mouthful of dog, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, we know what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
Is it bad that I can see my OLED monitor shifting pixels now and then? It does it at 45
Yep, that's bad. That's bad.
Yeah.
No, it's not
Anyway.
bad. It's good. It means it's saving you from burn-in.
Yeah, but he shouldn't see it.
If you
shouldn't be
stare
really
at your
visible.
screen long enough, you will eventually see it shift like 2
Your
pixels to the
screen
left.
stare back at you.
2 pixels up, 2 pixels to the right.
No, it does it diagonal.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It
So I
does
see
them
it
both at once.
When it tries to do you horizontally, you start to worry.
Mhm.
No, we're not going there.
Okay.
Except maybe in 15 minutes.
Moving on to news, and this story comes from videocards.com, and there's a bunch of different stories out there over the last couple of days about the super variants of the RTX 50 series. There's an interesting
And I want to be the first to say
development.
that 3 gigabytes of GDDR7 is enough for anyone.
It used to be the 780 Ti 3 gig card.
Yeah.
That was the flagship. But
Even just the regular GTX 780, 3 gigs, yeah.
3
oh,
gigs.
that's right. The Ti and the 780 with the same memory. It was the 680 that was only 2.
I had a GTX 580 3 gig as well. It was the MSI. They had double the memory.
That's
It's a special one.
that's an interesting variant.
Yeah, but anyway, 3 gigs. It's enough for everybody.
Well, now you can get 3 gigs on just one module. There's 3 gigabyte GDDR7. We saw it in RTX 5090 laptop, which allowed them to go up to 24 gigabytes of memory in that particular configuration. And now the rumors say that the 5080 Super will also have 24 gigs of GDDR7. The current one has only 16, in case you weren't keeping score at home. And this bodes well for people who find NVIDIA to be a little memory shy.
Stingy, as it were.
Yes. 16 gigs for the 5080 at the prices that we've been seeing, it's downright sad. And
Yeah. And the lowest price is what, $13.96 for 16 gigs.
something like that.
Yeah.
We had 16 gigs with a Vega 7. The Radeon 7. Vega 64 plus. That was a long time ago.
It's good for workstation.
It was.
apps, but yeah.
Yep.
Isn't this too early
Why?
for this? I mean,
For the Super?
okay, one,
No, Josh, it seems quick. I have to agree.
yeah, because usually it's about a year. You get a refresh of these super things. Super. And I mean, only now are we starting to see good supply of all of these cards across the board, but still at somewhat inflated prices. But we'll get to one later. But yeah, the 1080 at 1400 is a bad buy. It's not the 1080, 5080. It's a bad buy. It just is. For only 16 gigs, it still should be closer to $1,000, but it's not. It's $13.96 and $13.99. That's the lowest. I mean, sure, you may get a copy of Doom, the Dark Ages with it, but it's not worth it. And it's just save your money. Wait until those prices either go down or, maybe a super will actually come out, that they see holes in their market that they can, actually do something about, and people will actually want to buy it. I don't know. It's the company is very strange. I mean, it's the whole AI thing and machine learning and all of their wafer orders go into a lot of that, and now they're reacting by doing more wafers towards trying to get their base consumers figured out with the 5000 series. I don't know. I guess just wait till summer unless you're me and an idiot.
Why not?
But we'll get to that
another
later.
card no one can buy.
Exactly.
I mean, people want them. There is no question that there is demand. There is no supply. So why the hell not throw out 3 of them? Yep, here's 3 5080 Supers. Fight over them. There'll be more.
The Supers typically supplant the vanilla cards at the same price point. So, yeah, it is too early. They haven't been out.
So what,
1700? The TIs are the ones that have the higher price. The Supers have the same price.
I don't think that they're going to supplant them. They're just going to keep selling the same ones. The Super is just going to be the partially defective, 5090 chips.
Yeah. That could be.
Yeah, I mean it's the 503 die, not the 502.
Okay, so if the rumors are true, yes,
true, but they suspect you're right.
So yeah, it's flagged as a rumor. It does seem awfully early. But what's interesting to me about this whole thing is the budget cards, because they went with GDDR7 even with the vanilla 5060. Imagine the possibilities. Same number of memory channels, but now you have 3 gigabyte modules. I mean, if vendors are allowed, they could release some bizarre memory configurations with a
9 gig card. 9 gig. 9 gig cards.
27. Just
it's not enough. 9 gigs.
We found that 10.5 gigs is just not enough.
Yeah.
We're going to cut your memory bandwidth, but we're going to give you 1 more gig. Isn't that incredible? $5.99.
Incredible.
Thank us.
Thank you.
Let's move on to some exciting Intel Foundry Direct Connect 2025 coverage. Serve the Home was there. Reporting on it, taking pictures of slides on giant
because Intel
screens.
is now your best option for AI.
What?
Well, it says so right here.
Yeah.
On this slide. EMIB.
They're the best.
Actually, go ahead.
Yeah, they're the best option for AI because if you want an NVIDIA, you've got to wait 5 years.
Oh, okay.
No,
Josh is right.
Okay.
EMIB is pretty neat. Go for it.
It's really cool, and it's a more cost-effective and a faster solution than COWOS because they use smaller pads, denser pads, and it's kind of that edge stuff that you can see, and you integrate that in with a substrate, and you can really optimize. Instead of having 1 piece of silicon that's all etched and everything, and you put another couple of big pieces of silicon on top of that. You kind of furrow troughs in the less expensive organic substrate that handles a lot of the power in the ground and whatnot. And the high-speed data stuff is specialized in these EMIB chips. And it really improves, overall density, chip packaging, lower overall chip packaging costs, supposedly. Because you're not just, using 1 massive piece of silicon as the interposer. So, and they're also talking about not only, have they done really interesting things with packaging, which I think they really are kind of ahead of the curve. They've even though they made fun of gluing chips together, they were one of the first gluers back in the Pentium 4 days, and they, I think they've seen the writing on the wall for some time, and they know that multi-chip packaging is a really good way forward. And so they've been enhanced these technologies like EMIB and others, and they've done a lot of photonics stuff like that. That's really, really cutting edge. Neat stuff. And then we haven't even gotten to the process technology yet. 18A and I think it's
18AP and 18APT because
and there's AE and all kinds of other stuff. And so I think 18A is going to be more for Intel, but they're developing better software tools and libraries and whatnot for the other past A stuff for third party guys. Third party guys are looking at this and looking at the performance and density versus what TSMC is going to be offering at that same time, and it's the needle's kind of moving towards Intel. And so if Intel can actually do this, it could mean really good things for their foundry business, because foundry business is based in the U.S. and politics aside, there are reasons why other companies may leverage this. So it's going to be an interesting option for not only NVIDIA, but potentially AMD. Who knows? You've got to be agnostic when it comes to, potentially working with your enemies if they give you a really, really good tool to address the market with. The big thing as well with the 18A is the power delivery. It's this ribbon FET, as well as, oh gosh, I had to forget. I've of course forgotten what it's the reverse power. Come on, look it up, Jeremy. What is it?
Which?
Go. The power. What you going to do with all this power?
Power via backside.
That's it.
You mean, yes.
They've got it working.
They're putting
18.
the power in the butt. It makes sense.
Yes. But anyway, that's like 2.5 generations away from TSMC for what they're able to offer. And when you've got a chip that is, some 120 billion transistors, power delivery becomes very, very, very important. And this backside power stuff is it's a big deal for these.
Well, and as you were saying, they're stacking chips, so it's 2.5 dimension. So you get a lot of heat if you're trying to feed power into it. Whereas if it's coming from underneath, it does actually move some of the heat dissipation onto the substrates. Not because otherwise I don't think they could have pulled it off, because they didn't go into much detail on it, but it's neat.
There is a lot of reasons for it. And, everybody's kind of moving in that direction because it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, they're kind of kicking it up a notch. I mean, the company's not doing great. They're probably going to lay off some people. Their quarterly results were not fantastic. They lost some money this last week. I don't have all my notes ahead of me, but when they're making about $12 billion a quarter and AMD is approaching $8 billion a quarter, Intel is not doing as well as they should. Talk about inflation and all these things like that. I mean, they were making $20 billion a quarter, and AMD was doing $1.5 billion, and NVIDIA was doing $2 to $2.5 billion.
Yeah.
That's not the case anymore. NVIDIA is now in the $30 billion a quarter, and Intel is down to 12, and AMD is up to 7 to 8. It's a very, very strange world as compared to 20 years ago, when Intel really had a stranglehold, not only on CPU technology, but fabrication technology, where they led the industry by around 1.5 to 2 years. And maybe we can argue that they kind of sat on their laurels, that they didn't want to absolutely crush every single one of the people that they were working against. But they're looking like they're putting a good foot forward with 18A, and the nodes after that, putting a lot of really good technology in there. Ribbon FET is a big deal. And again, the backside power is kind of huge, especially for really large designs. So they got some good things rolling for them. They just need to execute. We're going to see a lot of this start coming out second half of this year. Yeah. And we'll have a better idea of how well they hopefully can survive, because, Intel's an important company, and the world needs them.
Literally,
they need
all they need to do is make Panther Leak available. If you can buy it, they will sell it. Oh, it's not as good as NVIDIA's. Doesn't matter. I can't buy that stuff for millions of dollars. If you will give me something that's almost a tenth as good, but I can actually buy it, done. Sold.
Is it CUDA compatible, Jeremy?
Well, how does Intel play with others?
Exactly.
I mean, technically it is probably able to, but it's not going to have the optimizations. So yeah, there is that
licensing.
That don't have the ecosystem, but if you can buy it, they will come.
All right, and that's Panther evangelist Jeremy Hellstrom.
He bleeds blue.
Play.
I'm a cat person. What can I say?
All of the 18A and 14A stuff does look really promising and really good. And to me, the sad part about it is all the foundation and groundwork for that was laid by Pat, who's been cast aside. And so the benefits from it are going to be, given to people who weren't there for the decisions. Oh, well.
If only he had stuck around long enough for tariffs to scare everybody to the point where suddenly Intel is ultra relevant again, because we can't just rely on TSMC. They're in Taiwan, and that's a potentially tempestuous situation over there. And we need to actually kickstart these foundries. Pat was complaining a lot about the lack of progress in getting foundries going in other countries and in the U.S. and not getting the money that they were supposed to be getting to make this stuff happen.
Arizona will save you.
All of a sudden, stuff is happening.
Well, in Ohio.
In Germany.
New York State makes sense. Germany, well, that's well established. Ireland, maybe.
The bad thing about Germany is power.
Yeah.
I mean, they shut down all their nukes.
Germans love power. Yes.
Yeah, and they don't have enough power, and the power that they have is really expensive, and it's imported from France. Yeah. So it's sparkling. It's sparkling power.
Sparkling power. But
I believe the French still have nuclear power.
Yes, they do.
A lot of nuclear power.
Yeah.
Next, let's talk about the UK and this little company called Acorn. They started in a barn system. Yes. They started in a bar.
This acorn flowered in a barn.
It is true.
The Acorn RISC Machine, which has later been rechristened ARM, as if that is not an acronym, 40 years ago now that was born by these people here, the developers of the original.
Yeah.
God, that was 1995. Do you know how old that makes me feel? Because I was out of college.
So 808 lines of BBC Basic.
Wait, 40 years? Oh, you're right. 85. I apologize.
Yeah, that was 85.
You can tell which ones are engineers in that picture because they're wearing the most comfortable shoes.
So who's wearing the dress shoes? Like technical marketing people, or
those would be the program managers.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
yeah.
The big
engineers. The engineers are wearing climbing boots.
Well, I mean, they were back then. They're just a little older now, so it makes even more sense. Mm-hmm. So this is what sort of birthed the microprocessor revolution. Without
BBC Micro,
we would not be here. And the Acorn and, just the ridiculous stuff that they were asked to do. No, we need a system that can do 4 things. Okay, but systems have only been able to do one thing. It can do this one connection, or it can do this one output. No, you need to make all the 4 things computers can do now on one machine. Yeah, all right, we'll do that. And we'll do it on a chip that you can't even register the power draw on it because it is so obscenely small. And that is what they did. Acorn birthed what we're talking about today. It doesn't necessarily predate every silicon-based company on the planet, but they were the ones. And the last quote I saw was actually from 2 years ago, where they were estimating 30 billion ARM chips on the planet. I'm sure that's actually significantly higher now. They outnumber us by quite a bit. So when the AI takes over, it will be ARM powered. We just don't realize it. One thing that did amuse me when I was writing this was I was looking for who fabbed the wee little chip that they did, and it was VLSI Technology Incorporated, which was based out of America at the time. And they got bought by Philips in 1999, which I did remember. And they went on to be like essentially one of the biggest producers of mobile chips for phones. What I didn't realize was that just a couple of years back, Qualcomm tried to buy NXP. It didn't go well because apparently Qualcomm and ARM just cannot get along at all, period. So yeah,
Yes.
Josh has been to Cambridge. You have been to the UK Centre for Computing History, I assume?
No, just I've been to Cambridge and the city center, and I went to the place Watson and Crick, the Eagle, announced their DNA discovery, and the ARM campus is really, really, really nice. They have some huge new buildings there, and so, but no, I have not been to that. I mean, I have. I've pulled down the cam or punted, if you will. But no, I probably need to go to that museum.
Next time ARM gets you over, you damn well better. And take some pictures.
Okay. And you can also take pictures of the inside of your computer case, because it's just possible that $6,000 5090 from Asus is sagging just a little, almost imperceptibly, if there was only a way to have constant feedback from your graphics card to detect GPU sag. Well, they have you covered, because apparently the Astral 5090 has
this is technology from the Apollo program, mind.
Yeah.
It has a gyroscope
it's a
on
Bosch.
the board to detect sag.
Oh, the ROG Astral
thought it was too expensive.
The ROG Astral is only actually 90% in our plane of existence. It's 10% in the Astral plane. Just
all they needed was a leather belt, because a leather belt for me detects sag.
It does. It emphasizes.
What about in other more sensitive areas? Or is there any detection for sag there?
You wouldn't want any chafing.
Yeah, no, I think this is a brilliant idea. And there's a really good reason that Asus put it on this one, because apparently this card weighs 3 kilos. So just short of 7 pounds. That's significantly heavier than the Founders Edition. But just the idea that, hey, it is going to have a sensor on it, which can act as a gyroscope, and software running on your machine, which will detect, and you can set the permitted amount of sag. And it will set off an alarm saying, your PCIe slot's about to be ripped off your motherboard. You might want to do something about that. I think it's a good idea. And there's no way that one of these sensors actually adds significant cost. These are ancient sensors that have been used for forever, and they're just calculating angular momentum. It's something we've been able to do for a while.
Next, from Tom's Hardware, PC case and component maker HYTE, if that's how you pronounce it, HYTE, they paused shipments to the U.S. I don't know if that's changed in the last couple of days. I feel like all these tariff stories are always in flux, but...
What, they saying the HYTE is a bit of hype?
Right, well, because there's a pause on certain things. I don't know exactly what was affected, but computer cases...
Nobody knows.
Probably aren't the highest priority when it comes to... news reporting on tariff activities, but the front panel on this one can actually report on the tariff activities, because you can use the tablet screen on this otherwise rather modest looking case. Actually, other than the slanted LCD panel, this is not the full aquarium that we've grown to expect from every case manufacturer's model in every size.
Correct. Although weirdly enough, the cases were supposed to be exempted from the tariff, but whatever, or maybe they're being hit by other ones.
Well, it doesn't just, it has a screen built into it. So it's not just a case.
And fans.
It's a sophisticated device.
And it's made with aluminum
in it.
It's made with aluminum and stuff like that.
Gamers Nexus did an almost 3-hour video where they went around to...
Just a light touch. They've got a light touch.
As one does, 3 hours.
Went around to a bunch of the U.S. suppliers. And they went to HYTE. They actually went to iBuyPower and CyberPower. talked to them and actually got the CEOs of both of those companies in the other's factories. So it's kind of crazy. But if you are interested in this subject and you have the time to kill, it actually is a very interesting video at how these tariffs are affecting American businesses. HYTE, they did something which was just unbelievable. They actually pulled their budgeting spreadsheets up and showed them on camera. Just an example with their, I believe it was their H60 case. It was not the model you see with the touchscreen, but 2 models below that, a case that's supposed to retail for $129.99. When the first tariffs hit, they had to raise the price to the MSRP to $139. They were making the HYTE themselves. They showed they were making $5 and I believe 71 cents per case they sold. This is prior to the tariffs. After the tariffs, if they sold one of those cases at the new MSRP of $139.99, they would be losing $96 per case. It was just amazing. And then they went into how much they would lose on the touchscreen H80 case, like the one in the thumbnail there. They would have to sell that case to make the same $5 that they were making before. They would have to sell that case for $600 to make that same, because the tariffs affect not only the case itself, but the materials in it and the touch screen. And it was just, and that was just a very small section.
You have a gold mine in your attic.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah.
My investment paid off, and never throwing away any of my review
now
cases
is your moment.
Has really come to
Not only have they provided outstanding insulation through the years.
Yeah.
Worth the weight of gold.
Yeah,
gold, Jerry.
and they're not just the occasional seat or a place to store things as a shelf.
And if you're interested, there is a section where he interviews Louis Rossmann at his facility in Austin, Texas. It's a very educational one. I'm not the biggest Louis Rossmann fan. Just his personality strikes me. Doesn't appeal to me to watch his videos. But he is a very intelligent guy, and he goes into it very deeply as well. But also, if you really want to learn some wonderful new language, Louis provides some great colloquialisms.
I see.
That could be used every day in any situation.
As good as like Louis.
Well, we want to keep monetization, so perhaps we should pass.
Yeah.
Go watch Lewis's video if you feel you want to be exposed.
You know what else is really popular? Copilot.
Next.
I think you lie.
Copilot, ultra popular. We keep talking about it every week. From XDA, consumers make their voices heard as Microsoft's huge venture flatlines in popularity. When was it ever popular?
I'm sure that there were some focus groups that Microsoft held that were very, very positive about it because they were told to be.
It's not just that. The entire AI subsystem, nobody's using it. It's not popular. People don't like it. They want it off.
I mean, it'd be fine if it was just a low resolution GIF.
Did you just say anyway? The point here is that
I'm not speaking to him anymore.
GIF is a peanut butter, Josh.
No one is talking to him.
What does GIF stand for? Graphical image format.
Graphical interface.
Giraffical image format. Okay.
Giraffe image format.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Anyways, as far as Copilot goes, the yardstick they're using is like ChatGPT because it's similar, use cases and things like that for the everyman, and only 5% in comparison of Copilot to ChatGPT. ChatGPT has 95% more users than Copilot.
ChatGPT has the mind share. At some point, brand matters. Awareness of brand. When you're not technically savvy,
but they poured billions into it. Billions
out there.
Billions.
Right. You just think ChatGPT. Everybody I know, unfortunately, uses ChatGPT. And just because I refuse to makes me a weirdo and an outcast. And that's fine.
Think of this CEO claiming Copilot is the next start button. That's the quote. That's the full quote here.
Okay.
Oh, I know. That's the scary. It's fallen on its face on this. And I'm not sorry.
Yeah. CJ Jackson in the chat. This is perfect. Headline is 20 million people still too stupid to know how to turn off Copilot. And that's true. And that's really where Microsoft's bread and butter is. The people too stupid to know how to turn off their most invasive features.
Or how to get off Windows.
But how are they going to explain this to the shareholders next quarterly call? Our adoption of our groundbreaking new AI technology featuring AI powered by AI is not good, and because nobody likes it.
That's going to be a very difficult earnings call coming up on this one, I think.
They just won't break down income by
we're going to lump that in with these other numbers here and kind of hide that.
Hey, anyway, Sebastian, just to let you know, the articles I submit to you are not ChatGPT, and in fact, I've never used the "let's polish this up" function, because when I see "let's polish it up," then I go to a totally different.
You
website.
Can't polish the turds, Josh. It's just
actually you come to find out
it's
you
like
can
picking up a turd by the clean side.
I mean.
Josh,
yes,
having
if you're the
read through
you can,
all of your reviews over the last several years, either you're writing them all yourself or you've developed your own large language model of only your own writings, because there's your fingerprints are all over those words.
Just like on that piece of turd.
Yes.
And that's how they're delivered, as a big pile of words from Josh. A big cow pile of words.
Big cow pile of words.
Stinky.
Okay, let's move on.
Smoldering.
No. MSI's yellow 12-volt 2x6. That's the modern equivalent of 12-volt high power, by the way. Now,
it's going to fix everything.
In case you don't know this, they have yellow pins, or like the sheathing for I don't know what it is. The connector itself.
Yeah,
you're supposed to push it until you can't see yellow anymore.
Oh, wait, is this a rap song? Black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow.
Yes, it really is, and I was waiting for you to
do that. The podcast's first and only Wiz Khalifa reference has been made in 2025.
Thank goodness.
The MSI RTX 5090 Supreme, depending on how you choose to pronounce that, the yellow connector helpfully turns black to indicate that you didn't put it in right and it burned.
Actually, it turns black when it's burned as well. So,
well, that's what I mean. But I'm saying that it wouldn't burn if you'd pushed it all the way in until you couldn't see any of the yellow, at least theoretically.
Anyway, there's a report out there that clearly indicates that maybe this, isn't the hot ticket. Looks like even when you're supposed to not see any yellow, that it's still possible to burn these connectors. Colorist shocked.
Once again,
but it'll go black, so you won't see any yellow, and everything's perfect.
The problem remains that the connector is just too small and too finicky to be handling that much power through one tiny, flimsy.
We need a connector that is too legit to quit, is what we need.
Yes.
The article does indicate that this GPU is one of the cheaper ones at only $3,150. So, I mean, maybe you sort of expect that kind of thing.
So in what has become a weekly segment, it seems, Amazon Starlink updates, they just keep coming. And we had heard about production delays last time. Well, now apparently Project Kuiper satellites are operating as expected, and we could get that Starlink rival. Soon, Amazon can control every aspect of your life. You can connect via Amazon to buy things from Amazon, to have an Amazon delivery truck deliver it to your house, and the circle of life continues.
I think
I'm
that's
just worried about the
impact
impact crater as it comes down through the stratosphere and gets delivered to my yard.
And then one day we'll all be taken in these large barge-like space vessels away from the Earth pollution and sit in our chairs and grow fat and stop using our own legs as tiny robots clean up the Earth.
What's the problem?
Hasn't that already
sounds
happened?
like paradise. Or Wall-E, but yeah.
Yeah. Amazon's becoming by and large.
Although they're behind on their deliveries to satellites because they were promising significantly more than just over 2 dozen at this point.
It took them 6 years to get the permits, based on the article here.
You know, I'm still waiting for flying
next
cars,
year and a half.
So.
Hey, Amazon's always slow with rollouts. When they decided to stop using traditional delivery methods whenever possible, it took them a while to actually get Amazon trucks to arrive on time. And
now you can't cross this road without being hit with one.
Soon they'll all be, self-driving, and we'll just be getting stuff by drone. Or the replicator. Yep. We'll finally invent the replicator by Amazon. It'll just be Amazon Prime items directly materialized inside of your own house.
And how incredibly inefficient is that in terms of energy?
Well, you'll have a very small nuclear reactor buried in your neighborhood powering
unless you're German.
100 homes.
Yeah. Unless you're German, in which case, it's coal powered. But
I need to wait 3 weeks before I can assemble this thumbtack from the replicator from my nuclear reactor, because that's how much energy it requires.
I mean, it's better than a transporter because, if you've ever listened to actual physicists talk about transporters, I mean, essentially, you're killing yourself and making a copy.
Yes.
And for some reason, you have Amazon tattooed against your forehead when you actually end up where you're going. Yeah.
It's because you use the cheaper branded version. You didn't pay enough. You end up with a brand. Anyway, the core of that story is you'll have to wait a little longer for an alternative to Starlink, but it is coming. Surprisingly enough, there's also a Chinese company who already has like 600 satellites in orbit who will also have many thousands more as well. So there'll be 3 competitors very soon for your satellite-based internet service.
And, you can trust the Chinese company because it's absolutely not being controlled by the
Chinese government.
Yeah.
Competition will tend to drive innovation and will tend to drive prices down. So that could be a good thing on both fronts.
What we need to do is colonize the moon and just send internet directly to Earth from the moon. Forget about satellites.
Just create one box that you store on the moon. It has a button on the top and say
it's a mesh network. So there's
this is
a series of these boxes around the surface of the moon. So you get the best coverage possible. All right. Next, this is more of a PSA than anything else. From Oregon State University, they're saying the future of OSL is in jeopardy. That's the open source lab. Somebody please tell me why this matters.
Well, they used to host a lot of, they still do. They host a lot of open source projects and they still provide a service that open source teams can go to do things like continuous integration, continuous deployment using Jenkins and it's a power architecture for people who are still into that. But they do a lot of Linux work and they still have efforts through their students to work on open source projects as well. So this has been a sort of a legacy, long time environment to foster and care for a lot of open source projects. It would be sad to see this particular entity go away. They have a long list of services that they have hosted and worked with in the past, including the Apache Software Foundation, things like Alma Linux and things other people may have heard of occasionally, like BusyBox or BuildBot, CPAN, that's the Perl Archive Network, Debian, Cygwin, Drupal, if people heard of that, content management system.
Yeah, no, there's a lot that they host.
Yeah, there's a lot of projects that they
for that one
they
fan,
have fostered. Firefox
stuff is hosted there.
Yeah, IBM still is behind their Power VR and Power stuff. So there's lots and lots of Linux projects that are still here.
Yeah.
Yum, I think, is one of them that was hosted there still. But anyway, so their corporate sponsorship is kind of gone away. So they're kind of socializing the attempt to gain more investment. So if you have a company that's looking to keep an open source project alive, this may be an opportunity for you.
Because otherwise, we've warned you what happens when these repositories go dead. They don't die. Someone you don't want takes them over.
Take them over.
You mean like Broadcom taking over things and making them even worse?
That's an interesting example. Not where I was going, but yes, you are absolutely correct, sir.
We tried to update vCenter this week.
Oh, how'd that go?
Not good. Not good.
Welcome to Insecurity Corner, your weekly reason to drink.
Our first story comes via PC Mag. This one was kind of in between. Is it insecurity or not? Well, I think so, because when deepfakes are so good that you can have a conversation with somebody that you think is real and it's not, then it would be helpful if there was some way to identify whether it's, a real person or not. And apparently there's something called Flurp that will do this.
Yeah. Because it's named after the purple Flurp, which is a sort of a fake drink from a cartoon, Jimmy Neutron, I do believe. But anyway, this is an app, a browser extension for Windows, macOS, Android, iOS that attempts to detect the video or video call that you're currently on, whether or not it is a deep fake. How they do it? They probably use AI. Okay, they definitely use AI to detect AI. Isn't that what this all comes down to eventually?
You have to use
battling
something
each
with
other.
You have to use something with a neural accelerator.
Yeah, so that's like the latest Intel 200Vs, Ultra 200Vs, etc.
And that's the only
Intel
thing
Core.
it works on, apparently.
But it has been ported to iOS and Android as well, so they're probably using some sort of accelerators on their latest phones. But
yes. So
anyway, the point is that this attempts to detect, when your CFO calls and says you have to make these, firewall changes, whatever, and you go and do it, or yes, I'll get that done right away,
No,
sir.
doctor, please do not run Flurp while you're watching us, because that's not going to work well.
We are all deep fakes.
You really don't want to know.
I said the quiet part out loud.
I'd like to admit that I'm a shallow fake.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Anyway, go get the Flurp if you want to help your organization.
Next, the curing rootkit for Linux leverages IO U-ring, but not in a terrifying way. This is a convoluted article title, but I'm sure Jeremy understands exactly what he meant.
I have no memory of writing this whatsoever.
Okay.
No, it's a vulnerability that I know is going to get huge amounts of news coverage about how horrific this is. That there is a system call interface in Linux which isn't monitored by antivirus whatsoever, and there's totally a way to infect it so that you can actually infect a machine, and no antivirus software on the planet is ever going to pay attention to it because it's using system calls. It's not using executables. It's not spawning processes. Spoiler alert, you need root access to be able to infect. If someone already has root access to your system, the game's over. It doesn't matter what they're running on it. You're done. So what this actually is a very interesting look at something that a lot of antivirus software has totally overlooked, which is it's interesting that you can plug something into a system and it's interacting, it's making calls. It's well, I mean, back in the day it used to be interrupts, but we've gotten over those nowadays. So the idea is that literally it's not checking what's happening when you've got a virtual piece of hardware attached to a system. It's not scanned at all. That is what the actual takeaway from this is that there is a gap in what should be scanned, and we've already run into this with UEFI rootkits. So take it with a grain of salt, because you are going to see a lot of this curing rootkit or IOU ring. It's not as horrific as possible, because in order to infect it seriously, you can disable it on Linux if you want. You can kill it. It doesn't actually affect a whole bunch of things. You just have to run checks. But at the same time, I think it's a good idea for a lot of antivirus vendors out there to go, hey, system calls might actually be a good idea to be watched, and let's figure out how to do that on top of everything else that we're doing. So, kudos to Armo, I believe was the company that discovered this to bring it out there. But yeah, ignore the hype. It is going to get ridiculously overhyped, because the thing is, you need root to be able to affect this. And at that point, yeah, there are so many things they can do. Still interesting proof of concept, though, right, Brett?
It is indeed.
Yeah. And up next, the most brilliant quote from a CEO of 2025 so far. We are going to track everything that you do on our new browser to serve you advertising better. But why is everyone sort of frowning at me? Why are people looking that it doesn't sound right? Because this is what comic. It's tragic comedy. Comet, which is Perplexity's new browser, which is essentially another AI helper, literally going to track everything you do and happily sell it, because they're worried about you. They want to make sure that the ads that come to you are absolutely and completely relevant and, totally match whatever it was that you were just talking secretly with your friend about there, or, intimately with someone that you really would rather they didn't know about. But hey, you were running Perplexity on your phone at the time, and so we're totally going to monitor everything that you do. This
for your own good.
Amusingly, it comes out of the fact that Google is getting sued left, right, and center for forcing everyone to use their browser as the default. And Perplexity has won a legal battle saying, hey, we've got this totally different browser that is not Google-based whatsoever. And Moto, hey, why don't you put it on your new flip phones? Like, okay, well, that will just avoid a whole bunch of legal problems. So yeah, we're going to do that. But be aware that literally this is their selling point to you, is that they are going to track everything you do to ensure that those ads are handcrafted, artisanally served for your consumer purpose.
Instead of all of my data flowing back to Google, who I've accidentally trusted with it, for a period of years,
these guys are
now going to be flowing to a new company where they can then
straight up about it
and lose it.
They're telling you they're going to do it.
Well,
that's different, I suppose.
You use the digital assistant, because this is not a browser, it's the assistant. And Google has mandated that you use Assistant or Gemini, and everybody does.
Okay. But it is also a browser and an AI assistant and a search engine and
ultimately,
everything.
Yes, it's the digital assistant for your phone. And Google has mandated that their own has been the default. And now, due to antitrust litigation, it's like, oh, well, you can use your own. So, of course, now there's some choice out there. Now you'll have...
Because it's 2025 and everything is awful. But at least you get from mouth to ad service.
I just turn it all off on mine. Because by default, the side button even brings it up.
Yep.
And I made that so it actually turns off the power instead.
Mouth to ad service. Come on, Jeremy. Wow.
All right. Let's bring this up here. Finally, an insecurity corner. You wouldn't steal a car. Remember the old ads about illegal downloads. But would you pirate a font? Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Please say it isn't so.
It is.
Font piracy.
From the Piracy is a Crime organization.
Wow.
Yeah, they're pretty sure that they've managed to trace this back to they used a non-licensed version of the copied font to generate all of these ad campaigns and things because they're able to pull some PDFs from 2005 that showed the embedded font was this one called X-Band Rough, which was the name of the ripped off name of the original font, which was called FF Confidential. I think that was the name of it. Between the two fonts. So they pulled some ad campaign stuff. They looked at the televised ads. They don't recall, whether anything was actually licensed from them, the original owners of the FF Confidential font. But it's pretty damn hilarious. It's just one of those, the people shouting the loudest from the rooftops are often the ones wearing no pants. You see that metaphor I mixed there?
Plus, they were just all being paid, the whole lobbying against.
How about the people that laugh the hardest on podcasts don't wear any pants?
Josh, please don't stand up until after
disturbing because
don't do the safety dance.
We're doing it live. It's disturbing.
No edits. This is just being released. All right, let's move to gaming quick hits. The first gaming quick hit: 2 for Subnautica 2 and Subnautica 2 for 2. That's a adorable headline from Jeremy Hellstrom here. Synchronized swimming. That's what we've always wanted. Please tell me it's couch co-op multiplayer swimming.
It is.
Yes.
I mean, apart from the fact that there's a whole bunch of terrifying things out there wanting to eat you, or scan you, or incorporate themselves into your DNA, because this is apparently one of the interesting things with Subnautica 2 is that some of the stuff you're going to some of the slime that you are going to scan, you'll get a helpful thing saying, hey, there's useful genetics in here. You might want to expose yourself to it because apparently you're going to have to evolve to survive in this brave new Subnautica 2 world. There's nothing that can go wrong with this whatsoever. After, if you've played the first 2 games, realizing just how horrifically some of the genetic manipulation went.
I think we've all seen the Cronenberg universe from Rick and Morty, and we all know how badly this can go. Let's just stand
it's a thing.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it. It was Carpenter, but yeah. Or Scalzi, he rewrote them too.
Is that John? Is that John Scalzi?
Everybody. He takes everybody's, he takes everybody's idea.
Does.
Old Man's War, Infinity War. Yeah,
Old Man's War. Actually enjoyed those books, but John Scalzi as a person is very divisive, I should say.
He's
there's some problems.
Like 90 grit sandpaper.
Yes, that's it. Yes. Yeah. You don't want to rub that on your forehead, directly on your forehead. You do not.
No.
Head on. I really enjoyed Subnautica, so I'm looking forward to this. Can we stop
talking about rubbing things on other things?
Okay, please? You went there again.
I have been just sitting here listening to all sorts of innuendo on this show.
Well, you got your Zerg on my Protoss.
People are talking about pants.
You know what innuendo is?
No, don't.
It's Italian for anal.
Yes, let's move on to the next story. Also from Rock Paper Shotgun, a new StarCraft game is on the way.
A new StarCraft.
Dave the Diver.
This is the best part.
And the finals? What?
This doesn't make any sense because Dave the Diver is very much not StarCraft. And the finals, which I didn't enjoy, but apparently a lot of people do, also not StarCraft. But yet, this is where Blizzard is going.
Really?
Maybe. I mean, everything is fake now, right? So we never know. But still, it doesn't surprise me that Blizzard would just go completely different. I'm pretty sure this doesn't mean that we're going to get StarCraft Ghost. Excuse me. I have a problem with StarCraft Ghost. It was something I really wanted, and it was supposed to happen, but they canceled it. There will be no first-person StarCraft. Unless these guys from Dave the Divers and the finals bring it up. Like I did.
You're muted, Sebastian.
That's fine.
Of course he is. He's using words we shouldn't.
Rudo saying StarCraft pod racing. Yeah, whatever. Just something in the StarCraft kart race.
Yeah, it's
For
just
mobile.
another attempt to cash in on the name, I suppose, at this point. Unless it's good,
Yes.
then we'll see. I'm more of an original StarCraft player.
I mean, even the last one they did was,
You know, I'll add one thing in since we're going to go to the next story, but this story needs to go in right now because this morning about 10 o'clock Mountain Time, EA came out and said, we're pausing all development on future rally games at Codemasters. And then the WRC group came out and said, we want to thank EA WRC for their support in, providing a great product for us, but we're looking in a new direction. So all rally development right now is kind of dead in the sim world, which is kind of sad. And we wonder if it's going to be an FIA thing or just a WRC, because EA has the F1 series that seems to be rather popular. So yeah, rally development is. Go ahead.
Hundreds of layoffs today or within the last day or so?
Yeah, there was in the last 2 days, there are a bunch of layoffs. Titanfall 3 apparently got the axe.
That's right. Canceled. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you wonder, where is this coming from? Is it an FIA thing? Is it an EA thing? Because
it's cancel culture, Josh.
Oh man, Codemasters, they did a lot of work to get WRC 24 out in the way it is, and there's some really neat advanced things that they did. But you got to wonder about the culture of EA, what they've done, and why, after one iteration of the WRC license, that the FIA is pulling it. So, yeah.
Maybe it didn't sell.
Didn't have enough backsheesh.
I don't know. I mean, a lot of the people who were Dirt Rally, fans, they were excited about having an actual WRC title developed by people who actually knew how to do rally racing. Because if you did the previous WRC titles, I mean, they were infamous for really floaty physics and just not a very good experience. But they stayed with that same group for, a decade. And a lot of people were excited that, the dirt rally people were getting the WRC license. And they delivered a pretty good product. I mean, it wasn't perfect because, they wanted to expand these rallies to like 30 kilometers, a really long 20 to 25 minute experience. But you couldn't do that in the Evo engine that Codemasters developed. So they went with Unreal Engine 4 point whatever and developed it from there. And they were able to do a lot of really interesting things lots of different plugins, but it's a learning experience. So it didn't look as good. There were performance issues initially. A lot of those got kind of fixed, but still it wasn't, fantastic. But overall it was a good experience. And they added a lot of really interesting things to it. But yeah, I am curious where a lot of the friction came from and where this decision was made, whether it was just, EA being EA and trying to muscle in onto something that they had very little power actually over, which, the FIA has billions available to them due to the popularity of F1, their other racing leagues. Yeah, so it's a sad day to see a lot of this just kind of go by the wayside. And we hope that the product that eventually comes out in a couple of years will be good. But, Codemasters really was the gold standard of a lot of, especially rally racing games. So we'll see. I mean,
don't worry, Josh. There's still Arma 3 carts.
Maybe just like a lot of other franchises, they'll let it live for a year or so, and then it'll come back, and everybody will be like, "Oh yeah, this is going to be great," and so they want to cash in on that newness again.
Yeah, but EA has got, they've got a lot. I mean, FIFA, like they said in Thing, that FIFA makes a lot of money for EA, and FIFA
makes a lot
World
of money.
Rally.
Period.
Yeah, period. And rally it's a pretty niche. It's a neat discipline. It's fun to see, onboard cams and to understand what's going on, but it is not a money maker. It's not Formula One. It's not FIFA. It's not any of those things. So, it's a fantastic individual discipline, but it's not a very fun spectator thing. So, sorry to interrupt and add that in, but I just wanted to.
No, you are absolutely right.
Maybe someday it'll end up on GOG or, one of those places where old software goes.
Yeah, we
to
want
be rediscovered.
new ones. Or Josh wants new ones anyways.
Yeah. But if you're okay with games that have been around the block a time or two, XCOM Complete over at Humble, get the bundle. If you spend, how much is it? Pay what you want. It says $25 gets you how many?
$25.
Well,
actually,
all the expansions, all the DLCs here as well.
It's complete. It is complete. I can't buy it because the only thing I'm missing is Chimera Squad, and I can't really be arsed.
Well,
it's not $25.
Only $10.
It's $10 gets you 17 items, including
10.
XCOM 2 and a bunch of DLC.
I own a handful of these already, and I'm probably going to buy this just to round out my collection because I'm.
I went through all of my various game fronts, and yes, literally the only thing I'm missing is Chimera Squad, and I've played them all.
I enjoy these turn-based combat games, actually.
XCOM is freaking brilliant. I mean, the original one was the best. And there are ones that are working on it, like what is the name of the one that's coming out? Xenonauts 2 that they're working on is like the original XCOM. It's one of my favorite genres.
Anyway, it's a good deal. I'll probably pick this up just to stuff them all in my collection so I can just look at them on my virtual library shelf, like games I want to play.
Oh, you got to play Interceptor.
It's not your pick of the week, though, right, Brett?
It's not.
Okay. And speaking of, let's go to picks of the week. Josh, please get us started.
Okay, if this doesn't tell you where we're at, well, not much else will. We're on planet Earth, spinning around the sun at 470,000 miles an hour. Anyway, something strange happened this past week. We saw GeForce RTX 5070 Ti's in stock for getting pretty close to MSRP. And they just did something kind of crazy. You can still get this as of tonight, Wednesday, April 30th, 2025. An actual 5070 Ti for $839, which is only, $80, $70?
Yeah, it's only like 10% above.
No, $90 more than MSRP. But you get Doom, The Dark Ages, the $70 version. So it's like picking up a card for only $20 more than MSRP. So, and this has been in stock all day long, which is previously hasn't happened in a long time. So, it's not fantastic, but it's pointing in the direction that we want to go. Less expensive cards available with some extras thrown in to make you feel like you're happy with this purchase. Just don't tell your wife.
I know nothing.
Josh's wife, if you're watching, that's all purely hypothetical. Josh should not
speculative
buy a graphics card.
Allegedly. That we know.
Perhaps.
Yeah. Yes. Or not.
But 5070s are getting closer to MSRP as well. Yeah. They are widely available. I went to Micro Center 2 weeks ago. They were stock full of them, but they were still kind of higher priced. So, yeah.
All right. Jeremy, your pick of the week.
A moose bit my sister once.
Did she carve her initials with a sharpened toothpick?
She did. It's 50 years old. Monty Python and the Holy Grail is 50 years old, and it is coming to theater again.
Whoa.
So if you've never seen it, you should. If you have, you might, consider going to theater again. I hate going to theaters. They're not fun anymore. It's more sort of like going to an airport.
Hey, it's playing around me on the floor.
It is playing everywhere.
Ooh.
This is a thing. And you will finally find out the answer about the wing speed velocity of a laden or unladen swallow, depending on whether
would that be an African
or European
swallow or okay,
European. Into the pit for
neither of which are migratory, by the way. But yes, if you don't know what we're talking about, you need to, and the rest of you, of course, you do. But have you ever been to a theater with hundreds of people that can literally screw the lines up
movie.
Just the same
I don't
way
know
as
if I
you can?
want to.
We are no longer the knights who say,
Yeah. You will
Don't
cut
think I
down
didn't
the
practice
largest
that.
tree in the forest with a herring. Yeah. Yeah.
Is this a live simulcast?
Yes, it's live, simultaneously broadcasting on YouTube and YouTube.com.
If you've never seen it, the best way I can describe that film is years ago, I had a younger friend who had never seen it. And so he and Elizabeth and I sat down and watched it. And at the end of it, he said, "What the fuck did I just watch?" But for the next 2 weeks, he could not stop quoting that movie and laughing.
That is the correct response.
I thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. I saw it at someone's house who had made a VHS copy of another person's CED.
As is tradition.
Of it. The CED, of course, the capacitance electric disc or whatever it was called. Watch Technology Connections video about that technology, but there was a part of it that skipped. So it was weird. Like I was watching something off of a video record on a VHS tape, but I didn't care. And it's one of those movies that, regardless of the quality, because it wasn't filmed on the greatest stock to begin with.
No.
And
I have a
Banana?
Blu-ray version. It doesn't look any better than the
all
DVD.
over him.
And those actors were miserable for the entire filming.
Yes. Yeah, I was
Because it
sad
was
to hear
cold
that.
and rainy the entire time.
And not a whole lot of leeway with the script either. Like all that stuff was written and tested and rehearsed, and they were supposed to stick
And
to
they
the
didn't
script.
have much time before they
it
got
was all
arrested.
done very fast. All right, so go see it if you possibly can. There's so many things to go see in the theater right now. I wish it wasn't so darn expensive, especially if you get popcorn and $6 boxes of Reese's Pieces. But
No, you're supposed to smuggle those in.
you're supposed to.
Yes,
I
yes.
know, but yeah, there's not Attack of the Clones. That was already in theaters. Revenge of the Sith is out right now.
Rose-colored glasses and everything went after that. Now people are saying it's kind of a good movie, actually. You know,
No, it is actually. I rewatched all the prequels. My son got super into the prequels. It's not that bad. Even I thought Attack of the Clones was absolute trash. There's a lot of good stuff in there.
And
Just
now
think about
you're
it
like,
from the viewpoint of a child, and I'm like, you know what? I understand why George Lucas, essentially a giant kid. This is what he wanted to make.
So you're saying A New Hope wasn't a cinematic masterpiece like we all remember it being?
No, A New Hope was, but A New Hope is more of like a timeless classic movie.
Sebastian.
Because when it was
we were
released,
young.
it was just Star Wars. It's just Star
Sebastian.
Wars. What?
I'm in agony.
No, there was too much emotion in that, Josh.
I turned to my friend when he said that and said, "So am I."
Which film was this?
That was the number
Attack
2
of the
of the new
Clones.
trilogy.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah, Attack of the Clones
Yeah.
is definitely the weakest. at times, especially the
Anakin
As opposed to the
was
original
bucket.
trilogy, where Empire was definitely the strongest.
I don't like sand.
It gets
Everywhere.
It's coarse.
It's just some terrible acting from both Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman. Truth be
Best
told.
memes,
Yeah, but at
though.
least Natalie Portman had to try to make it awful.
No, it's because
Good
I'm
memes.
so in love with you. Like, but the dialogue was so bad. I mean, what were you supposed to do with that dialogue?
Not much.
You were supposed to emote a bit.
Right.
Nah.
Yeah, there's some bad stuff in Attack of the Clones, but let's forget about that. Next, Brett has a pick of the week, right?
I do. And I'm a pretty big fan of networking gear and networking in general and high-speed networking especially. But I also have reached a point in my life when I've moved away from needing to fiddle with every aspect of a piece of networking infrastructure like PFSense, and I've settled on Ubiquiti as the horse I'm going to ride. So when Ubiquiti came out with a new cloud gateway at fiber speeds, and they call it the Cloud Gateway Fiber, this was extremely appealing. I don't personally need this myself. I have a Dream Machine Pro, but this is quite a device for people who are pulling in more than gigabit internet now, which is rather common. A lot of areas, 1.4, 1.2, or even fiber. So this has multiple 10 gig SFP ports. It has a 2.5 gigabit switch built in, even with PoE. You can upstream this to additional 10 gigabit switching and just really take advantage of that high speed internet feed, as well as making sure that all of your switching is at the highest possible consumer grade speed that you can get. That 10G
Unify
sweet spot.
Ubiquiti is knocking it out of the park as of late. There's stuff that they're coming out with access points and Wi-Fi 7 and at the price points that they're hitting and their software configuration and control stuff.
This little box,
Gosh,
this little box
the chamfered edges.
cameras. This
Yeah,
little box.
no, I used
Sebastian. Those edges
I
are
used to
chamfered.
dislike Unity,
I hated
It's gotten a lot better.
and
Way
man,
better.
man, their hardware and their software has improved light years.
Stateful
what it
packet
was
inspection,
7
easy
years ago.
firewall configuration of additional Ubiquiti hardware by adopting it and giving you a single pane of glass to control the whole thing. This little box to control cameras. It even has a hard drive interface inside of it to dump camera information to. It is quite a machine for less than $300.
Not to say any secrets, but we have a Unify camera in our server room doing monitoring, and it does 30 days worth on the Unify puck controlling thing. I can't remember what it's called. And it just has a 1 terabyte hard drive in there, and it just does it seamlessly. It's so stupidly easy, and it works really well. And why I went with Eero rather than these guys with, upgrading my home network, I don't know. But
I bought the TP-Link stuff, and then you guys told me that, no, Ubiquiti's gotten better.
Yeah.
It's not the stupid Apple interface it used to be.
It's gotten quite a bit better. But this has pretty much all of their Ubiquiti systems within it for less than $300. And it's very, very, very fast for
if you could buy
what it is.
First of all,
That's
disclaimer,
true.
this
Unfortunately.
portion of the podcast is not sponsored by Unify.
Or Ubiquiti.
No, it's
not.
sponsored by you, the viewer.
It is.
Welcome to PBS.
This particular device
You can't buy this thing they're ranting about. It's sold out.
is not available right now, but it will
It's too
be
good apparently for the money.
It is very good for the money.
So they should raise the price.
No, I
Make
think
it
somebody bought them all.
$6.79. Make it $9.99.
That's too much. That's too much money. Anyway, this is assembled in China with cheap labor. I don't know that it is. I'm making that up. It may not be.
No,
but anyway,
it is. Come on.
it is. But for $279, it is a heck of a box for what it does, a piece of networking gear. Please go, if you're into this sort of thing, go take a look at the specs. Make your own decision. There's reviews on the inner tubes, on the YouTubes.
The inner
check it out.
tubes.
The inner tube.
What if you have a tubeless system?
No, the internet
do
is a
you do?
system of tubes. The internet will always be a system of tubes. Maybe that's just me, but it will always be a system of tubes.
Series of
Yes.
tubes.
I thought it was a system of tubes. Series of tubes? I stand corrected.
It's a series of tubes.
A series of tubes.
Get it right. Get your technical jargon right.
Because I
Appreciate
still
it.
use that to this day occasionally.
It's a series of
All right.
tubes.
Okay. Kent, you have a pick this week?
I do have a pick this week. If you're looking to upgrade your storage or just build a new NAS, you can get a really good price on an 8 terabyte NAS drive from Seagate with a really cool name, the Iron Wolf. But they're a good drive, $159.99 for 8 terabytes. That's the best I've seen in a while, unless you're buying external enclosures and shucking them. But yeah, it's a good drive at a good price.
If
need
it is
storage.
indeed new, that's always
Yes.
the question with Seagate.
It
drives
is
these
indeed
days.
new.
But is it though? Because they got in trouble for, well, at least some of their partners were selling used Seagate drives as new in some parts of the world.
So this same drive is currently the same price on Newegg as well. So
I, of course, have no pick, but we're going to end the show anyway. Thank you for listening, watching the podcast. We will not be podcasting next week. Warning, PSA. I have to take next week off. And then we will be back after that with another exciting edition of the PC Perspective Podcast, the world's #1 podcast of all time, as ranked by the PC Perspective Podcast panel of podcasting excellence.
But I think you are the #1 podcast in Kalamazoo, based in Kalamazoo.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah, maybe.
It's possible.
We are number 5 on several lists, though, for real.
Yes.
yeah, it's awesome.
So that's it. Good night and have a pleasant tomorrow.
Good night.
Is your wife screaming at your small child?
No, I believe there's something going on in my backyard.
Oh, that's Jeremy screaming.
Is that a euphemism?
If
You're
you
in-
hear,
You're in Vancouver.
I just want to complain for a minute here. If you hear noises, it's almost always Jeremy. If you hear mechanical
I live in
keys typing over somebody else talking, it's
Oh, I
Jeremy.
mute when I type.
If you hear somebody thumping their microphone, it's Jeremy.
If
if
there's
you hear-
an animal chasing another animal,
If you hear a cat
Jeremy.
murdering a rat, it's Jeremy. And if you hear a
that's the
cigarette
Jeremy's house.
lighter, it's that's Jeremy too.
exactly. If there are random people wandering through the scene, that's Jeremy's place.
Jeremy,
can I do
some laundry?
If you see 1/6 of a very pale ass,
Yes.
it's Jeremy.
Also Jeremy's house.
I am the Foley department.
The police. If the police are cruising by, probably
Wait, that's
Jeremy's house.
sometimes you. That's sometimes you too, Brett.
That was.
Yeah.
Not
I hear
anymore.
some police sirens.
Josh's
now I'm in-
entire face has turned purple.
Vermilion, I would
I'm
say.
operating out of an underground bunker.
It's the purple night.
Puce.
Josh's head has become engorged.
Josh,
All blood is rushed to one area.
Purple-headed warrior.
It's all in good
Poor
fun,
Jeremy.
Jeremy. All
Yeah.
in good. All in good fun.
Oh no, I live in a very vibrant neighborhood. There is always
Vinny says-
something going
And if
on.
you hear thumping under the desk, it's Josh.
It's probably this guy.
Who has that amount of space under the desk? I don't know.
Oh. I have to get
Well,
a
that's when you
standing
need to
desk.
talk to Flexi Spot.
Yeah.
Little
not-
Marco's
Let me
gone now.
raise my desk.
Can you raise your desk using only?
No.
No. Okay.
Okay. Oh, it's
too
been a
much
while
fun
since
tonight.
since I did the Mudley, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Everybody will remain seated and keep your hands where we can see them. as we move on